a skeptic, he was like, okay, how do I stay up all night and figure out how I'm going to buy as much of this as possible, because this is going to be the operating system of money going forward.
The crazy part is that most people in the XRP community don't even know that this is happening. Like, if you're in the XRP community right now and you don't understand that if you lived in Dubai right now, you can go on an application and you can invest in real world asset tokenization and earn and generate passive rewards and income on real estate tokenization right now with your mobile device, then you're not keeping up with the announcements that are happening, because that is possible right now, right? And that unlocks billions of dollars.
And I still hear people say, well, I guess I missed it. No, we're still in the beginning. The majority of institutions literally have zero exposure to this space. So it's really starting.
If we're going to build Wall Street 2.0, we can't just say forget about everything that we have. It's trillions of dollars worth of real world value. And so what you're seeing today is you're seeing stable coins, which are, they're igniting DeFi ecosystems. They're very institutional products, but they're also, anybody can hold them and transact them. They're compliant, but they're also, free flowing. You're starting to see DeFi applications that look more like TradFi. They're not about getting huge amounts of yield at very high risk, but they're about things that make a lot of sense to people, like treasuries.
We do call it out here at CyberX and in the Wealth 28 Club, but we call it out in an educational format. So we try to orient our attention on showing people the documents and showing people the panel discussions and showing people the due diligence that nobody wants to do because it takes a lot of freaking time to do. But show people that these high-end price predictions that people are making, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're not possible, because I have a firm belief that they are. It's just people need to understand that they're not going to happen tomorrow. They're not going to happen when these bullish Moonboy influencers give these predictions with these Fibonacci projections that people think move the markets, you know? So it's like same mission, but different approach. Right. But I love absolutely what you're doing. Aqua, go ahead if you wanted to speak on that. I don't know if you had something to say.
No, I was just going to say they're not even using the Fibonacci tool correctly and shit. So it's kind of crazy. And it's funny seeing them like, yo, the Fibonacci's telling us we're going to be at $33 by the end of March. Bro, we heard that like every single month this entire year so far. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's wild.
So, I mean, like I said, in today's video breakdown, I'm going to blow people's minds while we're letting people roll in. We'll go ahead and hit it up with an intro real fast. But I don't want to leave off that conversation, and kind of what I want to show how we're early in one of your posts with all the manipulative bullcrap that's been going on with Trump and Elon. Yesterday we saw, or prior, let's say 48 hours, we saw like over $100 billion liquidated from the market. And then today the market's pumped back up. It's all driven by sentiment, risk on, risk off. And I want to really get into detail that these price predictions are possible, but it has to be through mechanisms of increased demand, dormant XRP being unlocked on DeFi protocols where, it starts to ease the sell pressure on XRP. It starts to ease the sell pressure on XRP.
XRP Ledger has not been able to be programmed. You cannot deploy smart contracts on the XRP Ledger in his entire lifespan. And now we are opening the doors for that to be possible. So with the EVM sidechain, we are enabling the ability for anyone who's holding XRP to move the XRP on the EVM sidechain without putting sell pressure on the XRP chain,
That's sitting idle dormant on exchanges, like centralized exchanges. And I'm going to physically show all that stuff today. So it's going to be a great combo.
Oh, good.
All right, so let me do this intro real fast so that the recording has one. So welcome back to the Wealth 28 Club podcast. I am your host, CyberX, here with my co-host, Mr. Aquaman. And we also have a guest today. If you don't mind going ahead and introducing yourself real fast. We have Tina, and she's been a really great influence in the community lately. Love some of the work that she's been doing with kind of calling out some of the friction that we've seen in this space, especially if you've been an XRP hodler for as long as I have, since 2016, 17 era, where we just have all this outrageous bullish Moonboy hopium and hype. And it seems like she's on a mission to kind of expose the truth and get people to understand that that's the distraction, and you should be paying attention to real researchers, real information, and real insights, and not the bullish moon boy crap. So Tina, if you don't mind just introducing yourself real fast to our audience, that'd be cool.
So for those who don't know me, which I'm sure there's a lot, I'm Tina, or well, XRP Tina. There's like a bunch of names anyway. So my mission originally was to call out all the hype, overhyped price predictions. We see it day in, day out. It's just influencers on this app taking advantage of people's hopes and dreams. I mean, predicting like 10K XRP end of year, 200 XRP this month, and the list goes on. And I'm just calling it out because I don't want people putting their whole life savings to something, thinking they can just get rich quick. And there's big implications to doing so. So I want people to be educated. I don't want people thinking that I don't believe XRP can get to a high price. I don't give price predictions, but I do believe maybe one day we can get there, but I just don't think it's right to just do that to people. I really don't.
People's hopes up and make them think it's going to happen tomorrow, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
I think that's a great mission to have. In today's video breakdown, while everybody's piling in, so we're going to be kicking off with a powerful 2 to 3 part series. I have a presentation to go through, and that will obviously, of course, spark conversation along the way. But it will prove that, number one, we are still early, which is something that everybody needs to truly understand. I think that people lack education on how early we actually are. So I'm going to bring people to the table with valid credentials that can speak on it. And people listening, if you don't have more credentials than the people that work at these financial institutions, it would probably behoove you to humble yourself and pay attention to what they say, because they haven't been wrong. Okay. Why? Because they know what's happening and they project that information to us via the negative, positive karmic cycle, where they have to tell us things that happen before they happen. So that way it clears their karmic path.
One of the things that I learned from whistleblowers, from the cabal itself, is that they have to work within something they call the rules. And this is very, very important. So I really want to make sure that this gets into the film. The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. Now, what do I mean by allowed to exist? I mean that they are aware that there are benevolent forces that will prevent them from achieving their goals unless we give them permission. So why did they put this plan for 3 world wars on display in a book that's hanging there open behind glass in the British Museum Library of London? Because the rules state that they have to tell us what they're doing. Therefore, if we allow it to happen, we have consented to tyranny, we have consented to enslavement.
Okay, and they're doing this right now. So I'm going to show you guys that we're early in the first part of this, and that this is the moment to tune out the noise, like Tina said, and stay focused on what matters, right? And once you truly understand that we are positioning ourselves ahead of institutions, which I'm also going to show you guys, David Schwartz mentioned that is kind of starting to shift, you'll stop questioning this $10,000, $30 price prediction, $20 even price prediction, and start to realize that these digital assets have utility. And that utility comes in the form of being able to be utilized in DeFi on protocols to generate passive rewards, tokenize assets, give you fractional ownership, be able to be utilized with smart contracts to facilitate a whole bunch of things in the DeFi space. And that is all coming for the XRP ledger over the next consecutive couple of years. And so what that is going to do is going to make you appreciate the technology, understand that this is a long-term game, right? Crypto is not for tomorrow, it's for life. It is the transformation of the financial system. If you're smart enough to understand that, you will stake, you will accumulate these assets, you will yield on these assets, and you will stack bags, because this is the future, and I'm going to show you. And over the next few years, I'm going to also kind of prove my point on how XRP can get to those higher targets by showing you all that right now, in the very moment, the vast majority of XRP is locked up, dormant, in centralized exchanges. And that is all about the change. DeFi primitives are coming and are available right now on the XRPL, where dormant XRP, hundreds of billions of dollars, or I'm going to show you guys. People don't think that I'm making these numbers up. I always have documents and stuff to back my claims. It's coming. It's just a matter of time, and you need to pay attention to detail. So anyways, that's the intro today. That's what we're going to be tuning into. If you want to stick around, we'd love to have you. But yeah, anyways, I'll leave the floor open on that. I want to share this video breakdown for a second, and it'll kind of roll us into the conversation of we're early and put this perspective into why we're not seeing these price predictions really come into fruition yet, like Tina was saying. So I'm going to share my screen real fast. This is Dan Morehead. Let me share this real quick so you guys can see, and just give me a thumbs up if you all can hear it, Tina and Aqua, when I play it. It's Dan Morehead. He is the managing partner of Pantera Capital, and he specifically goes on here to talk about how we are early. And then he mentions eventually billions of people will see how obvious this transformation is, and then they will come. And so this is going to full circle to a video clip that I'm going to end this with, when David Schwartz talks about how now we're seeing institutions wake up and realize, oh crap, we better get a grip of ourselves before we get front ran, which, I mean, nobody can front run the institutions, but they're realizing that retail traders have the upper hand. And David Schwartz physically says this on stage. So take a second here and listen to what Dan Morehead says. By the way, this was posted recently, May 12th, 2025. All the info that I'm going to share with you guys today is updated from 2025. I don't share outdated info, so just tap in.
Hey, so thank you so much. I wanted to focus on the manic nature of our industry and really put it in a multi-decade perspective. A lot of people look at things in a really, really short term. When we launched our first funds, the entire market cap was $1 billion. And it seemed to me that it was the most compelling asymmetric risk-reward trade I'd ever seen. It's up 3 orders of magnitude, and I still feel exactly the same way. I wouldn't want to invest in any other asset class at the moment. And I think we still have a couple decades of this to go. And so I talk to investors all the time, and I still hear people say, well, I guess I missed it. No. We're still in the beginning. The majority of institutions literally have zero exposure to this space. So it's really starting.
Okay, so all those bullish Moonboy price predictions that Tina's calling out all the damn time, right?
All the time.
All the time. This is why it's not happening. A gentleman from Pantera Capital who got into this market at I think he said 1 billion. Is that what he said? He said we got in at 1 billion, right? Did you guys listen? Yeah. I mean,
he said 100 billion.
100 billion?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, he's been around for a hot minute, and he just said most institutions, the majority of them, have 0% allocated to this space. Mm-hmm. And this is from 2 weeks ago, people. This is not outdated information. So he's telling you in 2025, institutions still have hardly any money allocated to this space. I don't know if you guys had something to speak on that. Go ahead.
When those institutions come in, baby, I mean, it's going to get wild, bro. Like this is man. Can you imagine going to like 10 trillion total market cap in crypto? I mean, they're talking about 100 trillion, which is wild to me. But yeah,
I tell people all the time, if there's a dip, you know, just try to take advantage of it if you can, even if it's $10, $20, honestly. So I know a lot of us, you know, are struggling. Just put a little bit away. I know it's not financial advice. I hate saying it, but I literally, that's what I do. I put like $5 if I'm really tight, or like 10, 20, 30, 50, yeah. Just because I know what's going to happen once they get in.
I think the goal of everybody now in today's day and age would be just to simply beat the average statistic. If you can do that, you literally take a step forward. If you can imagine yourself on a line of the entire population, you look right, you look left, right? And if you can just save $1,000 of emergency funds, you already take a step ahead. Like, as a matter of fact, 3 steps ahead of vast majority of the population. If you can invest $500, you take another 3 steps. And so instead of thinking of yourself in a doubtful way, where it's like Tina just mentioned, if you're suffering and you can't afford to invest thousands of dollars, that's okay. I mean, not financial advice, but $10 in the DeFi ecosystem right now, where you can earn 10% on that $10 that's just sitting idle, not doing anything for you anyways. It's game changing, because you can compound that even if it's a few cents every single day, and it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. Compound interest is like, everybody in finance and investing understands the power of that, right? So, you know, now fractional ownership is becoming a thing where this idea, this nomenclature that has been intrinsically established into our mentalities that you have to have a lot of money to invest and be successful, it's because the financial system, the traditional system, was gatekeep. It was guarded, right? In order to invest in real estate, you have to have the ability not only to have good credit, but to go get a freaking loan, to go buy a $300,000 house. And if you don't have a good job, that you work at McDonald's making freaking minimum wage, you ain't buying no $500,000 house. Sorry, you're just not. It's just reality. It's the way that the system was gatekept. Well, DeFi, blockchain, distributed ledger technology, crypto, it knocks all those walls down. So I agree 110%. You should not determine your participation in this space by your financial, let me put it this way. Whether you have $1,000 or $20, the goal is to start. I'll wrap up my spiel there. Sorry, I went on for a tangent, but I agree with you, Tina.
I agree.
Let's move on, because I want to get back on topic of showing you guys that we're early, and that the people that are distracting you, the distractions in the mainstream, are all things you need to stop paying attention to. So I'm not going to read this entire post, but it kind of goes hand in hand with something that Tina had reposted the other day, where I said that, all the people that keep themselves sedated with their mainstream bullcrap newsfeed that's purposefully distracted from actual reality is going to get so many people wrecked. And so if you can't see that shit is about to hit the fan, then may God help you. Okay. And then Tina the other day, if you want to speak on this, you can. I don't want to read the post because I want to try to upload this to YouTube, and I don't know how sensitive YouTube is going to be about this topic. But
oh my God. Yeah.
This is one of those clear distractions, and people don't understand that we're in a headline driven market cycle in crypto, where if you go look, you track the fundamental metrics and you look at when crypto sells off and when it pumps, it's primarily driven by newsfeed and reactive risk on, risk off sentiment, where these algorithms have to reprice in bad data, good data, uncertain conditions, more optimistic conditions. And that's a lot of what's driving the trading activity in crypto. But anyways, besides the point, this was another post that you had commented on, but it looks honestly like the account was suspended. I wonder if all the attention that it got. He made a video that got like over 100,000 impressions.
I remember. Sorry. I had to jog my memory. It was the worst video I've seen in a long time. It was straight up garbage. He was just completely fabricating this whole situation, totally misguiding people. And I was just so angry. And he had the audacity to show his face. Usually these people have fake accounts or they have like a fake AI photo. He's showing his whole face, lying to people about this bull crap. And I was just like, I had enough. And then I saw you jump in. I'm like, thank God, back up.
Yeah.
And I guess his account got suspended because we all were reporting it as like spam.
It's retarded. So, I said this, to reply back to his post, I said this literally does not connect Cross River Bank with XRP. Mm-hmm. It literally just connects Ripple with Cross River Bank. That's it. That's where the line ends. And everything else is speculation. It has nothing to do with XRP, and it's all just for engagement and likes. This is not real research. This is hopium-driven BS that is not and has no real solidity and should be seen as misinformation until proven otherwise. So I wanted to use this to kind of roll over into the presentation that I have today to show you guys. I'm going to show you guys real information that you should be paying attention to and get it from the source. This is not me making this stuff up and materializing or fabricating this in my head. This is people like David Schwartz telling you guys this stuff. This is XRPL Commons posting this stuff. This is Ripple X posting this stuff. This is Ripple themselves telling you all of this information, word for word. And so, as a matter of fact, we're going to go even deeper than that to a previous deep dive that myself and Aqua did, where the Bank of International Settlements is even telling you guys this to be the case in their documents as we continue down this rabbit hole today. Okay. So back to this idea that we are early. I always want to start with that. Okay, so let's start here. We got excuse me if I butcher her name, Casey Craddock. She's the managing director, UK and Europe at Ripple. And she said, this is posted 5 days ago, so updated info. Yesterday, Ripple convened its clients, its partners, and other leaders in financial services and digital assets in Madrid to discuss how blockchain and digital asset technologies are poised to create transformative opportunities for Spanish financial institutions. We had insightful conversations about how Spain's financial institutions are beginning to recognize the potential of blockchain. So the institutions are starting to wake up, right? Remember what Dan Moorhead said, that most institutions have nothing allocated to this space. Always keep in mind everything that I share because it's all going to play a role. And while adoption is still early, the momentum is building. So this is not coming from me telling you guys that we're early. This is coming from a managing director at Ripple. All right. And you can see the conference here. It was a small conference, probably a little closed door meeting. You can see the Ripple logo right here in the background. Okay. Now, if we come over here, this is a conference, an Avalanche Summit that took place in London just 2 weeks ago. And this gentleman here, his name escapes the top of my mind right now. Anthony Scaramucci, I think his name is, right? And listen to what he says.
I had my eyes were like glazed over. I didn't understand it. The Winklevoss brothers came to one of my conferences, explained it to me again. Again, I didn't understand it. I wish I was smarter. I would have been a lot richer. But when you get it, when you finally get it, and the switch goes on, I'll say to you something that my friend Michael Saylor says. When he finally understood Bitcoin, he started out as a skeptic. He was like, okay, how do I stay up all night and figure out how I'm going to buy as much of this as possible, because this is going to be the operating system of money going forward. So this is the DOS, this is the MS-DOS, or you pick whatever the operating system is that we're going to be using in technology. So to me, what's not in the consensus is that there are so many people outside of the industry. The consensus is still not with us. And that's why this opportunity is so big. This is not, people tell me, oh, this is like 1999, 1998 for the internet. And I'm looking at them like saying, no, this is like 1993 still. I still think we're before the Netscape browser went public, which was like May or June of 1995. That's how early we are.
Okay, so you get the picture. And so what I'm trying to show you guys right now is that one of the reasons why Tina's account in Twitter and in this space right now, in this moment in time, is so important is because all these mother trucking idiots out there that are trying to get you guys to believe that XRP's price tomorrow is going to be $10,000, they're going to manipulate you into thinking eventually that crypto's a scam. Why? Because when XRP's pumping, you're going to put $1,000 into the market. You're not going to understand market dynamics or when to properly implement capital into the market because you have no investment strategy. And then 2 weeks from then, Trump's going to come out with some devastating tweet, drop and tank the markets, and your portfolio is going to be down 30%. You go look at your Coinbase and you see $700 and you're like, oh, what the heck? I put $1,000 in last week. Now it's $700 and I got to go pay my rent. This is bullshit. And you're going to have an emotional attachment to the investment and you're going to sell out and you're going to lose on the biggest wealth transformation in your freaking life because your algorithm was tapped into the wrong feed of information. It was tapped into the bullish moon boys that have no credentials in the space to be doing what they're doing, have no valid financial history, or have never made seven figures in this market like people in our community have, right? To give you that information. They are irrelevant. They are children in this space, right? And people, you got to wake up and see that. Go ahead, Tina. I know you want to speak on that.
You're 100% correct. With these moon boys, they're not making money in crypto like you think they are. They're making money off your engagement. They're making money off of you're hoping and dreaming that this is going to happen. You're getting excited. You're liking, you're following them, you're sharing, and they're making money off of you, knowing they're lying to you. That's what really bothers me. I can't stand it. Me and my crew have been calling it out. I've been getting blocked, so it's like kind of harder. But I try to warn people. I go on their posts and I try to warn as many people as I can. It's not right. And there's no accountability in this space. I don't know what else I can do to get accountability in this space. I think now the reporting's kind of working, as we saw before with that one account that got toasted. So
I think whatever you're doing is doing a great job. And you guys have to remember, all right, it's not like we're sitting here saying XRP is not going to go to a high price, because in today's presentation, I'm going to show you guys physical proof how and like it's going to happen, right? There's nobody after this call that will be able to come in and combat what I say, because it's all physical documentation that is there for anybody to publicly go see, okay? The crazy part is that most people in the XRP community don't even know that this is happening. Like if you're in the XRP community right now and you don't understand that if you lived in Dubai right now, you can go on an application and you can invest in real world asset tokenization and earn and generate passive rewards and income on real estate tokenization right now with your mobile device, then you're not keeping up with the announcements that are happening, because that is possible right now, right? And that unlocks billions of dollars on the XRPL. It's not going to happen tomorrow. I'm going to show you guys the documentation that presents their agenda. It's going to happen over time. But when that money comes, stuff like that is what is going to take us to higher prices, not because some bullish moon boy told you that XRP Fibonacci is going to reach $10 by October 8th or whatever, right? That's not how this works. Okay. Aqua, go ahead. You've been dormant, man. Go ahead and speak on anything.
No, I'm just going to say this, you know, people that follow that type of garbage are kind of like pinball mentality. And, you know, you got to break out of that shit because, you know, you see that it's not working 2 months in a row. This guy's been giving you a dopamine hit that we're going $100 north. And then the next month, there's this guy that's like, I'm selling all of my XRP for ZBEC. And then the very next day, ZBEC takes off. This person that's pinball mentality is like, oh shit, sell all my XRP. And then, you know what I mean? Now they got ZBEC and now they're on ZBEC on the way down and XRP is going up now. So it's just like, you know, and I'm not bashing ZBEC. I have ZBEC. Our community has held ZBEC. Cypress called out ZBEC back in March when nobody listened. And now all of a sudden everyone's talking about ZBEC, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that's all I got.
All right, well, let's get back on topic real quick. I want to finish this loop. So remember, we're here. We're trying to show you guys that institutions aren't really here yet. You had Dan Moorhead, the gentleman with credentials from Pantera Capital, tell you so. So it's not coming from me. It's coming from an institutional perspective. Then you had this gentleman here, Anthony Scaramucci. I believe he was a previous Trump administration person, something like that. Somebody said that in the comments from our community. So thank you for that. Obviously, a gentleman with credentials to be able to be speaking on a stage at an Avalanche summit, right, which just took place 2 weeks ago. And then now I want to show you guys, this is the give me a second. Let me actually say her proper credentials. This is Nadine Chakar from the DTCC. If you guys do not know who the freaking DTCC is, all right, you should probably go do some research. But listen to what her say. This is 8 months ago, okay? So this is 8 months ago. And she says that retail traders are beating institutions. And then I'm going to finish this spiel, and we'll head into the next part of the presentation with David Schwartz sitting on an Ondo Summit stage with a Chainlink representative, Sergey, 3 months ago, saying that now it's actually the inverse and that institutions are for the first time ever this year starting to really wake up and realize, oh my gosh, we got to get our shit together. And now it's going to be the institutions that front run the retail traders. So you need to think about this opportunity that we have right now is still there. We are not late. We did not miss anything, okay? We're still early. As you heard the gentleman Anthony Scaramucci say, this is not 1998 in the early crypto.com era. This is still 1993. People are still thinking that this is all going to happen overnight. We still got at least until probably 2027 and beyond for all of this to really, really start to kick up speed. Like, if you think, I'm just going to go ahead and say this on a limb. If you think $5 to $7 trillion is a lot of money, you have not done your research on what is about to come into this space over the next decade. Like, you really just haven't. You got to really go expand your horizon and just read some documents. So check this out. Listen to what these next two individuals say, both the individual rep from the DTCC, and then we're going to listen to David Schwartz.
So as one famous Bostonian once said, the institutions are coming, right? And we're starting to see progress where more certainty in the market is helping institutional adoption, such as the approvals of FIT21, other instruments, both ETH and Bitcoin, spot ETFs. Those have been super helpful in pushing the movement forward. It just shows you there's pinned up demand. It is pushing through. There's a couple of things that are a little bit different about this. This is the first time in our history where we've seen actually retail lead and institutional follow. This is the first time in our history where we've seen actually retail lead and institutional follow.
The biggest problem with mass adoption is when the users have to understand the details of what they're doing. If you look at any technology that's gotten mass adoption, whether it's the internet, computers, cars, it's when people don't have to understand the details of the technology that it works the best. And so it's getting that user experience. Interoperability is a big part of that. If it's like my money's over here, but the thing I want to do is over here, and I really have to think about that, that's too much work.
It's not worth the energy and effort.
And that's probably why institutional adoption is going to happen before mass retail adoption, because institutional adoption, that the complexity is not as big of a blocker.
Okay, so David Schwartz himself just said that mass institutional adoption is probably going to happen before mass retail adoption. That was from 3 months ago. But the DTCC representative 8 months ago said that retail traders have the opportunity to front run the banks. You then heard the gentleman Scaramucci say 2 weeks ago that we're still super early. So don't think you're late. And then you had the gentleman Dan Moorhead confirm that, you know, this like zero banks have allocated anything to this space, hardly any, right? So wake up and realize that these things are probably going to happen, but understand where we're actually at in the market cycle. I have people come into my community all the time that have this awakening. They come in and they have this outside mentality where they're like, oh, 4-year cycle this, bear market cycle this, and that. But then they realize how massive everything is really about to unfold when they actually do the research that we have access to in the community. And they're like, oh my gosh, I need to learn how to earn yield and just wait. And that changes everything. I'll let you guys speak on that real quick if you need anything. Go ahead, Aqua.
No, I was just going to say, you know, earning yield on the equity in your home is going to be, it's something that you can do right now, right? And that's what they discussed on that panel interview as well. I wanted to share a clip of what Sergey had to say, because he says it out of his own mouth. He says, what if you can earn yield on the equity in your home? And it's just so wild that, like, we've been talking about Lofty. We've been talking about, you know, tokenization of real estate this entire time, discussing this type of stuff. And to see these guys on stage now saying it is just, it's mind blowing to me.
Well, we can play that video. It's at 17 minutes and 20 seconds. You know, I got my notes open, bro. And you know, I'll be taking thousands of notes on these videos. So
yeah. Share it.